Continuing on yesterday's episode, I released my 2025 big board today. I'm going to go over that with Cooper Flagg versus Ace Bailey, the rest of the top 25, and some sleepers to remember for the 2025 NBA draft. Coming up on Locked On NBA Big Board. What's up? Thank you for making Locked On NBA Big Board the first listen of your day. Really appreciate everybody who continues to listen. Summer League is behind us. It's been 2 days now since Summer League has been completed. So we're already looking forward to the 2025 NBA draft, which is much stronger, at least at this point, compared to where the 2024 draft was in 2023. So just at July 24th, 2023, we had a much more pessimistic view of the 24 draft than we do at the 25 draft of this year. So really excited to go over that. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA, one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So I released my NBA draft big board. I kind of did it differently. It wasn't just a raw big board for what I expected this year. It was a lot of freshmen because it was an upside big board more than anything. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on my Substack, MavsDraft's.substack.com. And if you aren't familiar with my work, if this is our first time seeing this, I do NBA draft scouting reports. I do NBA big boards. I do mock drafts, high school film breakdowns, college film breakdowns, international, NBA, all of it. I do all basketball all the time on there. I migrated over from my former site, MavsDraft.com. You can see my old work from really up to 2023 and between 2017 and 2023 is when all my stuff was on there. Had to think about the dates there for a minute. So let's talk about my big board. Yesterday's episode, I did a way too early top 5, and I'll kind of go over that pretty quickly. I had Cooper Flagg as my number 1, Ace Bailey as my number 2, Dylan Harper at 3, Kamon Maluak at 4, and VJ Edgecombe at 4. So that's only 3 schools. My top 5 at Duke, Rutgers, and then Baylor snuck in there as well. VJ Edgecombe, just working a little bit backwards here. VJ Edgecombe he was with the Olympics team with the Bahamas and had a really strong showing. And with that, I mean, I think he was playing against grown men and he was the best player in the 4 a lot. Showed a lot of his just overall abilities, had no real weakness that was being shown. And when you can do that, that's an automatic leg up going into the year. And I've seen him before. I talked about it yesterday, just the leadership on and off the floor, in addition to his intelligence and his all-around game. It's a little bit awkwardly sized. That's far and away his biggest concern. How much he can overcome that tweener status, because he's not a point guard, he's not a 2 guard, or he's more of a 2 guard at 6'4", but he's just undersized. How much can that matter? It's up to him at that point. With Kamon Maluak, I had him at number 4 because I'm just all in on the upside. The size and shooting ability, that alone is such a strong foundation that I think he can get to that star ceiling pretty easily, right? If you look at the best players that both protect the rim and stretch the floor, really over the last 10 years, all of them get paid and they're integral parts of playoff teams. I mean, going back to like Serge Ibaka when he was shooting even just mid-range jumpers and being a great shot blocker, that was super valuable. Now you have like Porzingis, who just won a title. Miles Turner is a super valuable player. I mean, technically Wembanyama fits this, but obviously he's a little bit different than these other guys. Then you have Dylan Harper, who I just feel like his archetype's so simple. I've actually written a good amount on him on my old site, MavsDraft.com. If you just type in MavsDraft Dylan Harper, you'll find some stuff. I really like his game. I saw him in EYBL last year in Dallas and thought he was really impressive. Just the way he can score at all 3 levels. He's capable as a shot creator. He's smooth. He's really in control on offense, and I think that goes a long way. 6'5", so kind of that ideal size for a guard. Now, he has to prove he's more than just a combo guard, that he is a point guard, but I still like his game a lot, and he can play off the ball as well. Then his teammate at Rutgers this year is just a monster. I think he'd be, for a while, honestly, I had him number 1. I went back and forth with Cooper. Ace Bailey, for me, is basically he's a 2-way 3-level scorer, right? He can play off the ball. He can come off the screens. He can rebound. He can hit very difficult shots over double teams. There's no spot in the court that he's uncomfortable at. And I think as a primary shot creator, that is a ridiculously valuable skill to have. So I think he's got the superstar mold at 6'9", really good defender. His biggest concerns really are getting stronger and improving shot selection. And to me, that's such a fixable thing. That's not really a worry for me at 18, 19 years old when you're in high school and a freshman in college. Like that stuff goes away as you get older and you get in more situations where you're around more talent. Ace Bailey is really the only prospect on his team that probably plays D1, at least in mid-major or high major above. So yeah, he had to take difficult shots. You can't judge him for efficiency, I think, in that context. Number one, though, Cooper Flagg. So I think that Ace Bailey Cooper Flagg debate is going to be heated this year. I have Cooper number one because I think he's the best defender in the draft. And honestly, given his offensive abilities, he's going to be able to play 30 minutes a game as most times the best player on the floor. He's a true 1 through at least 4 defender. I think he can guard 1 through 5. He's 6'9", so there are going to be some bigs I don't think he can guard, but at the worst, he can be a help side big in some lineups, and sometimes he can be a forward, right, on the defensive end where he's more on ball, and sometimes he's that help side, weak side rim protector. So I think that is where he can be a 5 more than a true on-ball 5 because he's not guarding heavy post-ups, right? You're not going to want to put him on Jokic or Embiid or really any of these post players, these premium players who live in the post. You can probably live with him on a roll man, like say you put him against Dallas, right, with Derek Lively or some, even just like an average center like DeAndre Ayton or Wendell Carter, those kind of guys, he can hold his own. So I think as long as his jump shot continues to grow, his upside will too. So with him and Ace Bailey, the difference really comes down to how much offense does Cooper Flagg grow into. If he can be an off the dribble scorer like he's already shown flashes of, but not a ton of consistency of, he's going to be number one. Yeah, I don't think it matters what Ace does. If Ace can be that primary initiator, play point a little bit, average several assists, and then keep being that defender and get stronger and improve that shot selection and be just an efficient wing, somebody who can really, like, he is somebody I think could be 50, 40, 90 one day. That's where it gets to, is who would you rather build around? I think if you were to build a comp for both, I'm not big on comps, but these are actually 2 comps I feel pretty comfortable with. Ace Bailey, you could look at this kind of outcome in terms of just output, is Paul George, right? You look on the wings, he does everything. He checks the boxes on both ends. He's that ideal 2-way wing. Like, I think those 2 are the premium wings that if you grew a wing in the lab and said, I want them to do this, this, and this, like make them the best wing possible, that's what you get with those 2. And I think you're looking at the same production, same upside as each of them had coming into the NBA. Paul George went 10th, but obviously he hit fully in his 100% outcome. And that's a really real possibility with Ace Bailey. With Cooper Flagg, I think it's more Jonathan Isaac. Andre Karolinko is the one thrown around because, you know, the skin color matters for a lot of people on the comps. I think it really is weird that we compare white people to white people and we don't go, you know, otherwise. Like, I think Jonathan Isaac's somebody who, if you tone him down 2 inches, you get Cooper Flagg. They're very similar. Cooper is less of a baby giraffe, I think, on the defensive, or excuse me, on the offensive end, but I think that defensive impact is just as real. So I really like those 2. I'm going to talk about some of these other sleepers coming up, but first, let me tell you about Game Time. So with Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I've actually done this with Game Time. I bought tickets recently, so I moved to DC recently, and I had never been to Nationals Park. And I wanted to see, was the section I'm in shaded? Because if you're unaware, the East Coast had a massive heat wave where it was 100 degrees all the time, and my girlfriend did not want to be sitting in the sun of a sport she's not a huge fan of. So we bought seats in the shade. So that was really important. We were able to take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, and you can too with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA. It's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, second segment here. Again, my name is Richard Stayman. You might know me better, Mavs Draft. Let's talk about some of these sleepers. So the rest of we'll get into sleepers in the next segment, but let's talk about some of the guys not in the top 5, because now that's the last 2 segments of Locked On NBA Big Board have been about the top 5. So I feel comfortable moving away from this. One of the big questions I got was why Boogie Fland so high and why him over Nolan Traore. And I think personally, it probably has something like there's probably an unconscious bias that I can't recognize, but I seem to be trying to. I've seen Boogie Fland in person. I've not seen Nolan Traore in person. Like that probably is what it is, because Nolan's game is really fun. He's probably the guard who can get to his spots more easily than any other guard in this class. Even VJ Edgecombe, even Dylan Harper, like Nolan Traore can do that. He's probably the standard pick and roll guard, right? You give him a pick, he wins. I don't know how defenses do it. I don't know how you're supposed to beat the guy. We'll see what he looks like in playoff basketball where the court shrinks, but I really like him there. I think the big thing for me was I don't know how good he is defensively, and I do buy the jump shot. I just don't know what level. And with Boogie Fland, I'm very high on that off the dribble jump shooting. I think that's what it came down to for me. I had to think about it long and hard, because I had 2 people reach out on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, and tell me, hey, like, why did you put Boogie Fland over him? It's like a hot take, which I don't really do this for hot takes or something. I disregard the consensus, because this far and away, every big board in July or August or September or October looks terrible 3 months after it's released, right? Or 3 months into the season. Like December changes everything. So none of this matters, because you never know who's going to be in the rotation, how much they're in the rotation, who actually is good, who feasted and was fool's gold, all this stuff. But with Boogie Fland, I've seen him do that off the dribble scoring with very advanced moves. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. On a court with Cooper Flagg, I saw Boogie Fland be the best player for several stretches of the first half. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't his fault. He's really the only prospect on the floor. They lost. Every single team that played Montfort this year lost. Montfort had a perfect season, which is also a big part of Cooper Flagg's selling point. He's a winning player. They went 33-0 and won high school nationals. But Boogie Fland was just really able to get to all his spots. He's so quick. He's so deceptive with the ball in his hands. He's extremely sharp, has a really tight handle. I think he's just an edge over Nolan Traore right now, and that's why they're only a couple spots separated. There's only one player in between, which is Liam McNeely, who's a 3-and-D wing that I really like. He just fits all the smart off-ball players mold that you want. He's 6'8", plays really good defense, extremely smart, really receptive to criticism, and able to apply it very quickly. I love that kind of stuff. So I like Nolan Traore. Another one I like is Trey Johnson. I've gone back and forth a little bit. I had him at 5 for a while. I don't know what to do with the handle. I think it's mostly good because he has some crazy moves. He has this nasty step back hesitation move he does, where it's usually with his left hand because he's very good with both hands. He'll hop back like he's about to set something else up and then just drive past you when you commit back. And I think that's a very advanced move. But when it's one-on-one, I think at times he can't move past and find creative ways to get around defenses when it's crowded. That kind of worries me. Also, though, he's a wing and he's been asked to be a point guard in most of his situations, so I kind of forgive it. Some other guys that are pretty cool, I think, to keep an eye on. Colin Murray Boyles at South Carolina, one of the best defenders in the class. He's actually my highest ranked returner at number 15. I think he needs to prove that he can shoot a little bit more, but he's so smart and has such a good feel for the game. He's connective. He can do stuff on offense away from scoring and really just jump shooting, that I really buy his game with an elite skill on the defensive end. I'm all about that. Right behind him, I have Drake Powell, who's going to North Carolina. So a lot of Carolina talk in this one. I'll also bring up another Carolina commit in a minute, but Drake Powell, really good defender. So my notes with him changed throughout the year. Last year was the guys who were in this upcoming draft. It was the last year in EYBL or any AAU, right? Because they're in the 17Us. You don't play after your senior year unless you're uncommitted or really trying to boost your name, or you reclassify like Gigi Jackson did last year, for example. With Drake Powell, my notes on him going into the high school season, so after EYBL, I was like, well, he's a great defender. The jump shot is so clearly there. His mid-range is great, so like I get why he settles for jumpers and doesn't always go to the rim. That's my biggest concern. And then I pulled up his stats for this last year. He shot this is a 6'5", 6'6" wing. I'm going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure he's about that size. Maybe he's a little bit bigger. Yeah, he's 6'6", according to 247. He's a 6'6" wing that shot 82% at the rim on overall. I think it was almost 150 shots. That is insanely efficient. Like I think if you went through every big on here, I don't even think Cooper Flagg has that. So when he had that growth, and then also he shot 40% from three, I was all about it. That was as much as I needed to see to say, okay, maybe it was just that play style. Yeah, even Cooper Flagg on just about the same volume, 73% at the rim, which is still ridiculous. But the fact that Drake Powell, a wing, shot 82%, almost 10 points higher, excuse me, than Cooper Flagg at the rim, that's just ridiculous. So I got to shout him out. Also, like Ian Jackson, his teammate, he's somebody who is just ridiculously gifted on the offensive end. I had him for a while in my teens and honestly, even in my top 10, but there's just a lot of stuff at OTE that I didn't like stemming around the defense. I also just don't know how real the jump shot is, but when the jump shot was falling, the upside's ridiculous. Like he had a game where he went 13 of 16 and the defense couldn't do anything with him. He could get to all his spots, 3-level scoring. Again, playmaking and shooting and defense. The defense is the big one. I saw in the first quarter alone about 8 plays where, and I get it, like if you've seen OTE plays, sometimes it's a little bit pickup-esque where it's like hard leak outs and you're throwing 80-foot passes from the inbounds. Like there's some stuff you can't take there, but also there's a lot to take where Ian Jackson was just thrown off, right? Every time there was a screen, he didn't know what to do. He was very late to react a lot of times. He didn't know where his man was. He didn't see ball, see man. So a lot of fundamental stuff, I think, for him to work on there. Just kind of going back, I think Kwame Evans at 17 is somebody that I really like. If you've listened to the podcast, you know I love Kwame Evans' game. I think he's another guy who was at Montvert last year. I think he's somebody that if the jump shot falls, and he had 80% from the free throw line, but in the 20s from three, that's someone who could easily, if that jump shot gets up to 35% and stays in above 75% from the free throw line, that's someone that easily sneaks into the first round because he's such a connected piece. He's an analytical darling. The feel for the game is really strong. It's just the jump shot. That's it. He doesn't have much on ball that is really that desirable. He spins into traffic a lot. He has to go middle, which puts him in bad situation. That's most of his turnovers. It wasn't bad decisions on passes or anything. It was him trying to create off the catch. It's a little bit worrisome, but I still like his game a lot. And then the last one here I'll talk about before we get into sleepers, trying to stay in the top 25. I really like, Noah Asenje. And I probably butchered it. I've tried getting that name right so many times. But I like him a lot. He's a 6'9" kind of forward. Honestly, this game reminds me of Scotty Barnes in a way. Jump shot is not very bad. Like it actually looks good, but it's not efficient at all. In the Adidas Next Generation tournament, he did not shoot the ball well whatsoever. Pulling up his stats here for a second, he shot on jumpers this year from three. Really on jumpers overall, it was terrible. He went 5 of 29, 17%. He shot 12% from three, 3 of 25. He didn't have a great Adidas Next Generation tournament. 60% from the rim was pretty good, but my biggest concern with him is not that. I think it'll actually come around. I'm not really super worried about the jump shot because one, he's 6'9", and the form looks good, but also like everything else on offense is there. I think he can run the offense a bit. He's got super long strides. I think that stuff really matters. He can get to the rim. He can dance around defenses, win to his spots, get to the line. I think the big thing for me is the defense. Like he's just never, if you can find some clips of him really engaged and sitting in a stance, I'd love to see it. But every other time I saw him, he was standing upright. And that's just not okay. That's something where I think if you're trying to impress NBA scouts and prove you're a lottery talent, you got to be committed every single play. He didn't have that. But the jump shot, I'll live with it. I think there's some Scotty Barnes stuff there that you can look at. Has playmaking chops. So I think, I don't know. I think he's somebody worth looking at. But I'll get into some sleepers here in just a moment. But let's get a word from our sponsors real fast. All right, last segment here. Let's talk about some sleepers for the 2025 NBA draft. These are pretty much anybody 30 and below. Now, in my board, I went to 45, and a lot of the guys 30 to 45 on my notes in there, so I put pretty quick explanations about why I liked them. I said, hey, you know what? These guys may not be this year guys. Some guys like Darion Reed, who is a top 20 recruit that went to Alabama, but I just don't know how he fits as a freshman on a veteran team that's trying to win the championship. That's always hard for me. I think if he went to an average team in the SEC, if he went somewhere like Ole Miss, right, I think he would be even better because he'd have more freedom and more like experience and experimental time to get on-ball reps, and it's okay to mess up kind of thing. Whereas Alabama, their margin for error is a little bit slimmer, right? They have to win. They're full of upperclassmen. I think that'll ultimately be good for him. But I think he's somebody that could be a long-term player. There's a lot of those long-term guys. Some other ones I like towards the end of my top 45, I like Travis Perry. I saw him at City of Palms. I think he has the best feel for the game of anybody in this class. On the offensive end, at least, the way he controls an offense without being a point guard is something I've not seen in high school in a really long time. But he is that level good. I don't know if he's Reed Shepherd 2.0 because he's going to Kentucky and he's honestly, he's a scrappy white guy from in Kentucky. I don't think he's necessarily going to be Reed Shepherd because the defensive stuff won't be there. And honestly, the defense is a disaster, I would say, for somebody who played in the competition he did. I don't expect that to be good, but the jump shot and the feel for the game and his ability to be a good guard, it's not going to be the Kentucky guards of old now that there's a new coaching system in there and Calipari's gone to Arkansas. Now Arkansas guards are going to be the new label. But I do think he is somebody who could absolutely shine. A couple other forwards I put at the back of my list, or at the back of the board, were Devin Royal from Ohio State. If you follow me on Twitter, I talk about him all the time. I think he's a scrappy forward at about 6'7" that can do a lot of different things. When I went to Michigan State to see Ohio State play, he was a big part of that upset win in East Lansing. He was doing things for hard stretches. There was about a 45-second stretch where he got I want to say it was like a breakout dunk, a steal dunk, made a defensive play and hit a jump shot, all consecutive possessions, 4 straight possessions, 4 straight impactful moments. And that kind of stuff is really valuable as a freshman. Plays an extremely mistake-free brand of basketball, does the dirty work, has jump shooting upside, makes everyone around him better, and he rebounds well at a forward. It's pretty ideal. Another guy really similar to him is Dalen Swain. I think they were actually teammates on All Ohio Red and EYBL. With Swain, he's a better athlete, I think. Shooting upside's better than the three-point percentage indicates. His three-point percentage was not pretty. He shot, I'm pulling it up here, but 15%. But on the same volume of free throws, actually more free throws than three-pointers attempted. And he only played 19 minutes a game, so bear with the small sample size. But on 32 free throws, 81%. On 26 threes, 15%. I'm much more inclined to think that the 81% was closer to the actual average of his shooting abilities of those two than the 15% was. I don't think he's somebody who's going to shoot below 30% again. And to me, that's somebody who is kind of that same mistake-free, does the dirty work. He's versatile. That's just somebody who I like. That's my kind of player, is that mistake-free, versatile forward. I really like him. Just some other guys who I like, Desmond Claude. I haven't seen much love for him. I should have put him in my top 40 in hindsight. But he transferred from Xavier. He was teammates with Dalen Swain, which is both those guys are people who I watched a lot. I watched a lot of Xavier this last year. I like Desmond Claude a lot because he's a modern wing, right? He's shot creator, can do everything. He's a ball and hands guy. I think the jump shot, it was really underwhelming. Like, I still do not understand what happened to him. But the good news for him is his free throw percentage is pretty good. This year, he shot 24% from 3. The year before, 29% from 3. Last year, he had 57% from the free throw line. Really small sample size, only 49 free throws a game, 49 free throws total. This year, though, he shot 165 free throws and shot 79%. So, excuse me if I'm not super sold on that 25% career college 3 being more of the indicator. Even if he's 35%, 34% next year, I think he's somebody that absolutely will get drafted. Like, he's that level of good. I really do think. And also, he's like a modern sized wing too. Like, he's 6'7", 6'6", somewhere in that range. Basketball Reference has him at 6'5", but I'm pretty sure he's taller. So I really like his game. Just some other sleepers here. New player reclassified the other day. Alir Malouk, talking about those big shooters with shot blocking upside. He's one of them. He's going to Florida State. Doubt he's a one and done. But especially because he reclassified, I saw him at City of Palms. There was a straight up possession where blocked a shot at the rim. Next one, he's the trailer because of that block shot, hits the three. That kind of stuff is so valuable where you are playing 3/4 of the floor and if that makes sense, where you're at the rim on one end and you only go up to the 3-point line. How do you guard that as a defense? That's extremely tough to guard, especially when you put that in NBA tempo. That's somebody who I'm all in on the upside of that. And honestly, Leonard Hamilton's done a good job in the past with guys like those, like Cabangeli. I think he did a good job of developing. I think he'll do the same thing with Alir Malouk. Somebody else who I like, I really like Ferris. He's going to Vanderbilt. He's ranked in the 200s every single year I've looked. There's a really good player, at least basically since 2019. You can find NBA players, right? The further back you go, the more NBA players are, and they're generally 4-year players. Tyrese Halliburton was ranked number 200. There's some other examples, but every year I did a research on this where all these guys were past 200. Marcus Sasser was 200. Zach Edey was in the 200s. Like, these guys work. And I think Ferris Bilal is going to be that. He may not be one and done, but he's a volume scorer, has real 3-level scoring ability, dominated EYBL as a scorer, which, by the way, if you are doing that, there's some pro upside there. Like, unless you're 5'10", like he's 6'3", somewhere in that window, give or take an inch. It's not great, but it's also not bad. I just feel like he gets to his spots so easily and he works hard. I've heard good things about that. I really like his game too. I think he's somebody that absolutely could be climbing up on boards down the road. They made, Vanderbilt's not exactly a world beater at the moment. And because of that, he may be able to sneak up some boards. Some other names I'm interested in monitor coming back. DJ Wagner, he's going to be at Arkansas. He followed Coach Cal. I'm interested to see how that looks. The situation didn't get better for him with all the guards, because he has John L. Davis now and Boogie Fland in front of him. It's pretty much what it was at Kentucky. Just take away, say, Rob Dillingham, I guess, that equivalent. So that's kind of worrisome for me. I'm interested to see how he does. And there's a couple other guys that I think I'm going way down here that I think could really kind of shake things up. There's one guy who I haven't seen him much on boards, Isaiah Johnson, Ergu. He's going to Miami. Yeah, he needs to improve the handle, but the passing's really sharp. If he gets stronger, I think he'll be really good. Last year, mind you, Miami had somebody in the 200s who ended up getting drafted as a one and done in Keyshawn George. It's obviously a little bit different when you have him international, but I really like everything really except the handle, right? Like, he sees the floor well. I think he has a really strong skill move in the spin. He's a really good athlete, great defensive ceiling. The big thing for him, can he shoot? He's somebody who he's in that ideal range, right, where you look 6'6" to 6'9". If they can shoot and they can do all those other things, that's a really valuable player. So I really like his game as well. Just a couple other ones just to finish this up, because I could talk about sleepers all day, and I've already gone over time, but I'll do a couple more. Jalen Shelley, really athletic player going – I know he was going to Arkansas. Let me actually double check. I should have fact checked this before shouting him out because of all the transfer stuff. He followed Coach Musselman to USC, so he's actually going to USC. Really athletic slasher, has a growing jump shot, great burst, change of direction, all the athletic traits you want with an on-ball player. That's what Jalen Shelley has. And then the last one, Kurt Tang. I actually have him. I'm cheating with my rule here. He's number 26 on my board. Nobody talks about him and Jace Richardson, the two Michigan State freshmen they got. They both have this in common, right? Actually, let's do Kurt Tang. For me, I wrote that he has strong shooting touch, off the dribble scoring, floaters, a clean jumper. He's really smart. The game just clicks for him. Great decision making. Like, all the feel for the game, like, buzzwords are all there with him, and it takes 2 seconds to see. I really like him. I think if he's not a one and done, he's going to be somebody who's a 2 and 3 year guy that just pops and makes everyone better and probably clicks in the second round. And then lastly, I got Jace Richardson, who's the son of Jason Richardson. If you're an NBA fan, again, these big boards make you feel old. Really good lefty shooter, elite finisher at the rim, shot like 70-something% at the rim as a guard wing. Kind of awkwardly, unlike his dad, he doesn't pop super hard athletically in the half court, but he is still a good athlete. I think he's somebody just to monitor as well at Michigan State. He may not be a one-year guy, but down the road, I think his intelligence of those analytical stuff, right, where the inside out, finish at the rim and shoot the jump shot, he's there. So those are some of my sleepers, the top 45, and then Cooper Flagg versus Ace Bailey at the top, and really the whole top 10. Thank you so much for listening to Locked On NBA Big Board. We'll be back tomorrow.